So let's begin our class. Just a reminder, last time we talked about the interesting group of ratios which were called market value ratios, okay? And we said that these ratios show firms' position in the marketplace. In other words, it shows whether we have good or bad position in the market. And these ratios help potential investors as well as current investors to make decisions about what they will do about with companies' stocks. Okay? So we said that these ratios are very popular among investors. And we studied how many? Four market value ratios. Okay, let's refresh. The first ratio was called earnings per share. How do we translate earnings per share into Russian? Прибыль на акцию. По-английски EPS. The EPS ratio is calculated by taking the earnings that the company makes, and this is the earnings available to common shareholders, and dividing it by the number of common shares. So we looked in our financial statements that earnings available to common shareholders were 90, and we suggested that this company has 30 shares. So 90 divided by 30 was $3 per share. So it means that if I buy the stock, then after 1 year, I will get $3 per one share. Okay? So this is the EPS. So my stock is earning $3 per share. If I buy 10 stocks, I will be making $30 per share. Now, the second ratio was price to earnings. This was a tricky ratio. Tricky? Такое. Tricky, такое хитрое, ну, замысловатое. Трик, ну, трик это трюк, да. Tricky, это, ну, не типа, это не так, что это непростой коэффициент. So, хитрый коэффициент. The price to earnings ratio is calculated by taking the market price, dividing by the earnings per share. Let's say that the price of a share is $21 and it earns $3 on a per share basis. If I divide the 21 by 3, I will get the number 7. And we were discussing what that means. And the idea was this, that if this ratio is growing, it means that the market price is growing faster than the earnings of the company. So in this case, when the market price is growing faster, the ratio will go up because this is bigger number than the denominator. And let's say if it was 7 and then it becomes 10, it means that the overall position of the company in the market is getting better. It's getting better and better. In other words, we say that investors are optimistic about the future of the company. Now, the question is, why are they optimistic? Well, the answer is that if someone is willing to pay a lot of money for the stock, $21 or $30, even though the earnings are not so much, it means that you believe in the company. So you believe to the point of buying stock even at the high price. And so that means you are optimistic about its future. You think, okay, I'll still buy it for 21, for 22, for $23 because I believe that the price is going to go up more. Okay? So I will not pay attention to the earnings. Even the earnings are small, I will still buy. So PE ratio shows the optimism and pessimism of investors. So if the ratio goes down, it means that the investors are pessimistic about the future of the company. So this is what is expressed here. Another ratio was book value per share, BVPS. The book value in Russian is what? Who remembers? Book value. Балансовая стоимость per share на акцию. То есть балансовая стоимость на акцию, it's another ratio, BPS. In order to calculate that ratio, we should take all the book value. The book value in this case is our net assets. Net assets available to common shareholders. So if we take all the assets available to common shareholders divided by number of common shares, we will get the BPS. I gave you the formula of how you can calculate the net assets. We decided that if we take equity, subtract the preferred stock, and this will be our net assets. And then we divide it by the number of common shares, we will get the ratio. Well, we took the numbers from the balance sheet, the 600 of equity minus 50 of preferred stock divided by 30 shares. That gave us a number of 18.33. So it means that for each stock, we have $18.33 of assets. So this ratio by itself doesn't represent much, but when you compare it to the market price, now you can see. So when we compare it to the market price, we see that the market price of the stock is 21. The book value is 18. So what does it tell us? If you compare the market price to the book value, what do you want? Do you want the market price to be high, if you're an investor? Do you want the market price to be higher than the book value or lower than the book value? Higher. Why do you want it to be higher than the book value?
Because I can sell it much and earn more money.
On the one hand, if the market price is higher than the book value, it means that most investors believe in the future of the company because they are willing to pay more than it's worth. It's worth 18.33, but people are willing to pay 21. So it means that you believe in the future of the company. You think that it's going to grow. Okay? So in this case, you like it to be high if you think that it's going to keep going up. Well, the problem is that sometimes the price can drop. And if the company is in trouble, if it's getting close to bankruptcy and you have their stock, if you bought it below the book value, for example, you bought it at $15 and it goes bankrupt, there is a chance that you can get $18.33 back and return your money based on the assets that the company has. So the high value of market price, when the market price is above the book value, is a good sign. But also, if the situation is not so good, the market price below the book value, if you buy at this price, kind of gives you an idea that probably you will get your money back if something goes really, really bad. So it's a stick with two ends. Okay? Палка о двух концах. Stick with two ends. Палка с двумя. Stick with two ends. Okay, and then finally, we studied the dividend yield. The dividend yield, the word yield, Who remembers what that means? Yield. А? Доходность, урожайность. Да? Вот. А еще вот этот знак, кто знает в передвижении? Треугольничек. Когда водители. Кто водитель? Что это за знак?
Уступи.
Уступи. Вот. Поэтому этот знак еще yield. В английском обычно такой знак и пишут yield. Вот. То есть это...
Так должно быть.
Да. Дельта наоборот перевернута. Okay, so dividend yield — это дивидендная доходность. So the dividend yield, the idea behind it is that how many, what's the percentage of the dividends in each stock that I buy. The percentage. So we calculate the percentage by taking the dividend per share, DPS, and dividing it by market price. MP is market price. So DPS divided by MP is dividend yield. But we talked about that we need to calculate the DPS. The DPS was not known. So in order to calculate the dividend per share, we should take all the dividends and divide it by the number of shares. We looked that the common dividends were 20 from the financial statement, and the number of shares is 30. So 20 divided by 30 is 0.66 cents. 0.66 cents. Well, 66 cents. Then we put it in another formula, 66 cents divided by $21. That gave us a number of 0.3 or only 3%. 66 центов. 66 cents. Okay? Dollars and cents. 50 cents. Знакомо вам?
Вайну трабл.
А?
Копейка.
Копейка.
Почему не рубли?
Because this is English course. Okay? So 3%, only a little bit. But the interesting part was that we discussed with you, we looked at Yahoo Finance. We went to Yahoo Finance on the video and checked with Google and with Apple company, looked their PE ratios, EPS, and dividend yield. We kind of studied them on the website. So that was an interesting experience. So that's what we did last time. Today, we have the last but not least discussion about comparing financial statements, number 6. Number 6, comparing financial statements. Comparing financial statements. How do you translate this into Russian? Соревнующиеся. Это тогда было бы competing. Но идея там есть, соревнования, но немного другая. Comparing. Как сказать compare по-русски? Comparison у нас было. Да, правильно. Нет, это competition. Сравнение. Comparing financial statements – это сравнение финансовой отчетности. Comparing financial statements. Okay, let me see what is interesting in this part that we need to discuss. Okay, financial statements, dividends per share. Well, in our case, there are two aspects of comparison. We will talk about first vertical analysis. Analysis is one. And on the other hand, we're going to talk about horizontal. Horizontal horizontal analysis. Horizontal analysis. Okay. So some of you did presentations about this topic. So let's make some highlights. What is vertical analysis? Well, first of all, we need to understand that it is about financial statements. So the vertical and horizontal analysis, you need to take a financial statement and then apply vertical or horizontal analysis to it. So, and financial, what are the financial statements that we already studied? 1, 2, 3, 4. What are the financial statements we studied?
Vertical.
No, just name the statements.
Oh,
Yes. Yes. Okay. Yeah, let's take cash flow statement. 1.
balance.
Yes, Diana, balance
Income statement.
sheet. Yes. Anybody help? Income statement and
Какой на русском остался?
ОИК, отчет об изменениях капитала. Как?
Change in the equity.
Ага.
Statement of change in equity.
Statement of changes in equity. Все. Диане аплодисменты. Она все вспомнила.
Пацана.
Вот. Видите, как хорошо. Вот 4 отчета. So we can do the vertical and horizontal analysis for these statements. Well, what do we need to understand? The nature of vertical analysis, just by the word vertical, there should be something vertical about it. So up and down. Up, down. And horizontal analysis should be horizontal. So there should be something left and right. Okay? So if we mix it all together, we will have the up and down, left and right vision of the financial statements. Okay, so the vertical analysis is also called structure. Structure analysis. The horizontal analysis is often called dynamics. Structure and dynamics. Okay, dynamics analysis. And this is structure analysis. Okay, so in order to show the nature of each, we will use, I think we will take, yeah, let's take one of the statements. I'll take the income statement for this purpose. And we will play around with numbers here. Okay, so let's copy income statement here. Okay, and see what we can do about it. Let us first practice the vertical analysis. So in the nature of the vertical analysis is, like I said, structure analysis. In order to analyze structure, we need, so the word structure, it's like, you know, like building a house. There is the foundation, there are the walls, the roof, it's like the whole structure. And in the same way, let's look at the income statement as a structure. So we have net sales, cost of goods sold, gross profit, selling expenses, administrative expenses, operating profit, and so on and so forth. down to retained earnings. Okay? So in the structure, in any structure, there is always a foundation. So when you want to do the vertical analysis, first you need to decide what will be the foundation for the analysis. Usually the foundation for the analysis is some kind of item, line item, that looks to be the most general and kind of the general indicator. In this case, the general indicator is sales. Sales is like the overall indicator in the income statement. So sales will be taken as the foundation, which means that we will, which means that we will make it our, well, let me do it this way. I'll draw some lines here. Okay, another line. I will need this for the analysis. And then another line. All the way to the bottom. Okay. So this is, let's say this is column, like say 2023. Let's say this will be 2024. Okay. And these will be some of our extra numbers that we will use for analysis. Okay, let's imagine that the results for the year 2023 were as they're given here, but in the year 2024, the numbers have changed. Let's say that the number 2024, the company generated sales of $1,200. Okay, and the cost of goods grew up to 450, which will give us the gross profit of how much? How much will be the gross profit? Hold on, wait a second. Well, not 450, let's make it 500 so that it will be easier to calculate. English?
700.
$700. Well, rubles. Administrative expenses, let's say they have grown a little bit. Let's say they have grown to 230. And selling expenses grew up also to 120, which will give us the operating profit of how much? So 230 plus 450. So this will be 350, 400. No, yeah, 350 probably. Let's see. 230 plus 120 gives us 350. So 350 plus 350 gives us 700. Okay. Now, financial expenses. Let's say that our financial gains, the little number over here that was over here, let's say it's plus 150. And financial losses are the same. Let's say it's minus 200. So this will give us the financial expenses of 50. The difference between them will be 50. Financial expenses, yeah, $50. In this case, our earnings before taxes will be how much? You can help me here. How much will be here?
Minus 50?
Yes. minus 50 from what?
100.
We should take operating profit and subtract financial expenses. Diana, how much is it going to be?
Я вообще не понимаю, честно, откуда вы что считаете.
Okay, who understands where we get the 350 operating profit?
350?
Yes?
Yeah. You just
Okay, so our financial expenses, this 100, let me show you. How did we get the 50? The 50 is the difference between 150, this is what we made in the financial activities, this is what we lost in the financial activities. 150 minus 200 is minus 50. So we are in expenses right now, not in gains, but in the expenses. So I put the 50 here. This is my, this comes from here, okay? It's a expense, it's like minus 50. So I need to subtract it. So I take 350 and subtract the 50 of expenses, and I get how much in earning? $300. You see now?
Yeah.
So 350 minus 50 gives us the 300. Let's say that our taxes will be this year 130. Okay? So in this case, what will happen to our net profit? How much will be the net profit? 170. 170. It's 300 minus 130. Now this is our net profit. The preferred dividends will probably remain the same, $10. Net profit available to common shareholders. Maybe not 10 because let's make it 20, a little more. 20. Because it's a better year, more dividends to preferred stockholders. Now, this gives us the net profit available to common shareholders. How much? 150. Okay? So we subtract the 20. Here we subtract so 150. So then we can pay our common stock dividends. Let's say that the common stock dividends are 30.
Taxes and preferred dividends and common stock dividends, you break in imagine?
Well, I just, it's imagine and a little bit of experience. It's like the more earnings before taxes you make, the more taxes you will pay. But it's not, it's not direct like a certain percentage because there may be many different taxes that are maybe included in the calculation. So it's kind of, if the profit grows, taxes grow. If the net profit grows, preferred dividends grow. So it's like, but it's from imagination. It's just for our example, okay? So in the end, the retained earnings will be how much? Yes, 120. So we have completed our numbers for 2024. So let's move to the vertical analysis. So the vertical analysis works like this. Let's say we want to analyze the structure of the year of 2023. The foundation will be our sales. What the foundation is, so this will be, let me put it this way, the vertical analysis for 2023. The foundation is taken as 100%. Okay? So if 1,000 is 100%, then cost of goods sold, which is 400, will be how much percent? How many percent? 40%, right? So I write here 40%. How did I get it? I took the 400. I'll kind of give you the example here. I take
1000.
the 400 divided by 1000 times 100%, right?
Yeah.
So I get the 40%. So see, I take the 400 and relate it to a base. Base is 1000. So I take it now, keep it here, just for notion. Для заметок. Okay, what about gross profit? The gross profit, see, this is our first column. Okay, the gross profit was 600. So how much it will be in the structure? What should I write here? The gross profit as a percentage of the foundation will be how much?
Foundation.
Foundation is 1000. Sales.
60.
Yeah, I take the 600 divided by 1000. Okay, I'll so that you can get it easier. So I take the 600 divided by 1000 times 100%. So this gives us 60%, right? What about administrative expenses? What do I take?
20%.
Yeah, 200 divided by 1000, and okay, I don't have room for this. 20%. What about selling expenses?
10%.
10%. What about operating profit? 30%. What about financial expenses?
Мы разве не берем друг от дружки размерно, ставить
Вот я тоже
маленькую
подумал.
по крупицам остальное?
А?
Но мы не должны были от каждой высчитывать, ну типа вот
То есть сначала
100%.
все считали, потом от этого дальше как вот...
Не, мы берем базу в нашем и все считаем от этой базы. База у нас
1000, да.
в
Это
данном...
про базисный, да, вот...
Нет, я только говорю про... Вот мы сейчас проводим вертикальный анализ по 2023 году. В 2023 году мы в качестве базы взяли выручку за 2023 год. Она равняется 1000. Соответственно, мы все остальные индикаторы рассчитываем как процент от этой выручки. То есть от 1000
Пока не понимаю, зачем. Честно.
сейчас.
Да будет, да?
Да будет так.
Это будет вау, да? Ух ты!
Будет вау. Так, financial expenses, tell me, how much?
Ну, 10.
10%. Earnings before taxes,
20%.
20%, correct. Taxes,
10%.
10%.
Etc.
Net profit,
Ну, 10%.
10%. Preferred dividends,
1%.
or 1%. Net profit available to common shareholders, 9%. Common stock dividends, 2%. And finally, retained earnings, 7%. Okay, so we got the first structure. This is our first structure from sales all the way to the retained earnings. Okay, now I add one more column and I say, okay guys, let's see what was the structure for the next year, 2024. Okay, so here I write down vertical analysis for 2024. Now you need your calculators because it's going to be a little bit more difficult. So now I calculate the base has changed. So the base is how much now?
No, 1,200.
1,200 or 1,200. So
Yeah.
this 1,200 is 100%. Okay? Now, what about cost of goods sold now? What will be the... So what should I do? I should take the 500.
41.66.
Well, let's round up to the percent. 42%? 42%. 42%. So I write 42%. What about gross profit?
One moment.
42%. I can guess it will be 58. 58%. Okay. Now, what will be our administrative expenses?
Uh, 19.
19%. 19%. What about selling expenses? 10%. Okay. Now we can move on to operating profit.
28%.
28%. Yes. And let's continue. Financial expenses will be 4%. Okay. Earnings before taxes,
300.
300 by 25%.
800.
Is it 25%?
25%.
25%. Then taxes will be 130 by 11%. Net profit becomes 24%, 14% probably.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, preferred stock will be 20 out of 1,200. It's like
2%.
2%, around 2%. Net profit available to common shareholders will be
12.5. This is how.
well, let's make it 12% because 2%, 14% minus 2% should give us 12%.
Okay.
Yeah, they should connect with each other. So now the $30 of common dividends will be 2.5.
3%.
Huh?
No, 2.5.
2.5, almost 3%. Okay, 3%. So the retained earnings, 12 minus 3, will be 9%. Okay? So, yes or no? Well, because I'm taking 12% minus 3% should be 9%.
Okay.
But, well, we can check. No, this is 10 in this case. Yeah, so if we do 10, let me do it this way. If this is 10%, let's round this one to 2%. Потому что у нас должно 12 минус 2% должно 10 дать. Они между собой тоже согласуются.
Это вот спойлер небольшой.
Ну, небольшой, он как бы логичный, что они тоже вот, связка идет по этим, по ним. То есть они тоже должны суммироваться. So we did vertical analysis for 2 years. And here's the most interesting part. Now I can see how the structure has changed from 2023 to 2024. And this is where I can get conclusions about the vertical analysis. So this is vertical analysis change. So nothing changed in the sales. It was 100% and it is. still, but with cost of goods, we see that there is plus 2%. Because it was 40, now it's 42. With gross profit, it is minus 2%. Okay? With administrative expenses,
One.
minus 1%.
Why?
Because it was 20, now it's 19.
Ну, 20 минус 19, 1 же плюс. Нет? Ну?
Ну, было,
мы же- вот, всё.
было 20,
Да,
стало
да,
19,
да.
минус 1. Minus 1%. 0% with selling expenses. Minus 2% with operating profit. And look, a whole minus 6% with financial expenses. Okay?
Good?
Well, this is financial expenses. It's good. If your expenses become less, that's good. Now, because of that, your earnings before taxes has grown up by 5%. There's a good sign. Your taxes plus 1%. Your net profit is plus 4%. Your preferred dividends plus 1%. Your net profit available to common shareholders plus 3%. And net profit plus 3%. And dividends to common shareholders 0%. So this is the interesting part. This is where you want to pay a little more attention. What's happening to your structure? What's happening to your structure from year to year? Of course, you pay attention to these numbers, like you want to know if your structure of cost of goods sold is high or low, your profits high or low in the structure. But the interesting part is how it changes over time. So, and you start paying attention. What happens to our profits in the structure? Well, our gross profit goes down, operating profit goes down, but earnings before taxes grow, net profit grows, and you start asking yourself, why the big profits go down and the small profits go up? And you start seeing it's because of this minus 6%. So your financial expenses dropped. So this is the reason why other profits began to grow, because of the financial expenses. And so this is the nature of vertical analysis. So you build the structure, then you compare the structure with the next year, and then you start drawing conclusions. Okay? So let's do the horizontal analysis. With the horizontal analysis, I'll add 1, 2, and 3. Also, like we did with vertical, except this will be Oh no, I don't need the 3. I just need, I'll just need one. I'll just need one column, okay? Let me do away with several columns. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, yeah, we'll just take this one. So let's add one more column for vertical analysis. It will be like this. In the vertical analysis, we analyze the dynamics of our line items. So this will be our horizontal analysis, excuse me. Horizontal analysis for 23, 24. So we compare what happens to every line item from year to year. Here's the logic. Net sales in 2023 was how much?
200.
Net sales. Net sales were,
Or 200.
200.
net sales were 1,000. Where do you see 200? Yes, 1,000. And in the year 2024, 1,200. Okay, so yeah, I'll use two columns. I'll simplify this. I'll use the delta. This will be the delta column. And the next one, I'll add extra so that it will be more understandable. For we will call it percentage delta, okay? So let's look and let's see. So this is, the change is plus 200, right? What happened to cost of goods sold? It is
20.
plus the change, plus 100. It was 400, now it's 500. What happens to gross profit?
Plus 100.
It is plus 100, right? Next, tell me the number. Plus 30, then plus 20, then plus 50, then, be careful here,
Minus 50.
minus 50, then
Plus 100.
plus 100, then
Plus
plus 30, next
plus 7.
plus 70, next
Plus 10.
plus 10, next
Plus 60.
plus 60, yes, and then plus 10, and finally
Plus 50.
plus 50, right? So this is our changes over time in absolute numbers. Now, we need to get the percentage change. In order to get the percentage change, we need to relate our 200 to 1,000. The base, here the base is the year 2023. So 200 divided by 1,000 is
20.
plus 20%. Plus 100 related to 400
Plus 20.
plus 25%.
Ah, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, plus 100 to 600 will be
6.
plus,
We need calculator.
we need a calculator. It will be 16% or 17%. How much is it? 100 by 600.
I need formula.
100 divided by 600. 100 divided by 600.
And умножить на 700.
Не, ничего не надо умножить. Просто
ну,
сколько получается?
0,16.
0,16. Ну, на 100 умножаем, получается 1,666, да?
Да.
17%. Plus 17%.
Я не понял, как посчитали.
100 поделить на 600 умножить на 100%. Мы соотносим разницу с базой. База у нас
600.
600.
600 поделили на... А, что это разница же, да?
Да.
Господи.
Мы разницу делим на базу.
Почему?
То есть мы считаем, сколько в процентах
Да,
это
слушай,
изменение.
Дошла. У меня
Ага.
плохо.
17%.
Ну, правда.
Okay, next.
Это вот...
Plus 30 to 200. Это, наверное, 15%.
200 делить на 30, да? И...
Нет. Мы берем всегда изменения на базу.
15.
15%. Plus 15%. 20 by 100. This should be 20%. You see how it's good?
Да.
20 by 100. 50 by 300. How much is that? Ну, здесь калькулятор нужен.
17.
17%. Same. Plus 17%. Okay, we continue our calculation all the way to the bottom.
This is easy.
50 by 50 is
50.
how much?
50?
No.
No? Why?
50 divided by
Minus.
50
Minus 50.
minus, not, but not minus. Tell
Minus
me.
2.
No, not minus 2. Who can tell me?
Minus 50.
The minus is good, but what the percentage will be? Come on, come on, come on, come on.
Чего не хватает?
Minus 50 divided by 50.
Ну тут цифру-то не видно.
Вот она. Вот, вот, 50.
Только сюда надо смотреть?
Ну, у нас же это база.
Ну.
А, стоп, погодите.
Ну.
Не... Ой, excuse me, my bad. This is my bad. 50 divided by 100. Minus 50 divided by 100.
50%.
Minus 50%. Yes, my bad.
Я ж говорил.
Yes, Ruslan is right. Let's give him a hand. He was good. You counseled me. Yes, I am counseled. Consoled. Еще можно правильно сказать console. Consolation. Утешение. Okay. Next, 100 to 200.
50.
But plus 50, right?
Plus 50.
Plus 50. Plus 30 to 100 is plus 33%, right? No? Oh, no. By, 30, 30, of course, 30. There is nothing difficult about it. Plus 30%. Next one will be how much?
Plus 7.
Plus 70%. Next one will be,
Plus 50.
look, 10 to 10. How much is that?
50 plus.
No, plus 100%.
Ah.
10 by 10 is 1. Okay? Now, plus 60 to 90. Oh, that's a difficult one.
Это вот все калькулятор и автоматизированные системы.
Yes, 60 plus 60 divided by 90 should be 67. Yeah, sounds right. Plus 67%. 10 by,
50.
yes, this is easy, plus 50%. And finally, plus 50 to 70. How much? 71%. Whoa, we did it. So this is the important part that we need for the... Well, sometimes you just have to do it once so that you get the habit of understanding what's happening. So now we can see what happens to our sales. They grow by 20%. Cost of goods grows by 25%. What is growing big time? Look at the numbers and tell me what has grown big time in this statement. So pay attention to the big numbers in the horizontal analysis. Where are the biggest numbers of growth? Net profit, 70%, yes. So 70, anything else? What about 100% of dividends for preferred stocks?
Yeah.
71% is the growth in retained earnings. 67% is growth in net profit available to common shareholders. So these are the biggest numbers. So we have to watch closely to the big changes. Okay? So you pay attention to the big changes. The positive changes and the negative changes. Where is the biggest negative change? There is minus 50%. Minus 50%. Okay, you also watch this and you kind of pay attention to see, okay, so what's happening here? So that's the idea of the horizontal analysis, to see how things change over time. This is the dynamics, the change over time. And then you start drawing conclusions. So you say, okay, in our case, the biggest changes were in net profits and preferred dividends and retained earnings. They are 70%, 100%, 71%. And then you ask, why did it happen? And then you say, well, maybe it's because our financial expenses has gone down by 50%. And then you look, yeah, that looks right. So when you start writing sentences, okay, this is what's happening to our company. And so that's the horizontal analysis and how it is done. Okay?
Yeah.
Any questions? You can do horizontal and vertical analysis with any statement. You can take the balance sheet and do the same. You can take the cash flow statement and do the same. You can take the statement of changes in equity and do the same. Okay? And in the end, you just pay attention to the changes, how it changes, and what is good, what is bad. And you write conclusions about it. Okay? So that's where we are.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you for listening. Diana, thank you for listening to math. Okay, I hope you enjoyed it.